Right now we're doing.
We're good.
Here.
How are you?
Good. Nice stuff. Nice little. You still have that shirt up front?
I do.
I think maybe I'll drop that off the blank one too.
How you doing? I sent email.
Alright, the rain crew. Alright. Oh,
Is it still raining outside?
yeah. It's saying so like 2
Yeah, it starts. Yeah.
If no one else comes, it's fine. You need one for yourself, Adam?
I'm gonna move it. Yeah, thank you. Guys, we'll get started in 2 minutes. How you guys doing with it? Yeah.
Whatever.
Wet, nice and wet out there, yeah.
I know.
Really?
Yeah, so my car's at 63. I'm like, yeah.
Any wins you guys have created? Study meetings and okay. So maybe buyers that you're working with, which may have attracted you to this place. Maybe.
Psychos.
How do we deal with these psychos that don't listen to us?
You can pick them up, of course. I don't know if they're nuts.
No. Okay, those in Zoom, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So at any time I'm low in volume or whatnot, just type in the chat box or chime in and just let me know. All right. All right, everyone, good. All right, so welcome to Creating Urgency to Buy. So this is from the book Shift. Hopefully everyone's heard of this book. I know Nicole was asking about this book. So this is a New York Times bestseller. It's written by Gary Keller. It's not a Keller Williams book. It's for every real estate agent that's out there, right? So how to tackle the tough times of real estate. And the pages in this book that we're going to cover is shift tactic number 9. And it's creating urgency in the buyers. That's from pages, let me get the exact pages for you in case you do have a book and you just want to jump start to it and then just skim through it and read it in spare time. I think this is a very important part of the book. So again, this is shift tactic 9, creating urgency, overcoming buyer reluctance, pages 167 on to page 195. So that's what we're going to be covering today in this class. So the objective in this class, we want to understand the perspective on creating urgency. We want to understand that we want to be the expert. This is going to be a skills-based market that when you approach, when the market's just to a buyer's market, you have to be more skills-based. We're going to be talking about a little idea of standing out amongst buyer's agents, which is creating a best buy list. We'll talk a little bit how to execute that. We'll talk about how to find homes. We're going to talk about the buyer consultation, how to be more effective into that, and to create and determine willingness and to energize urgency. We're going to talk about facilitating the decision making to get them to want to make an offer. There's a lot of fear. Sometimes there's buyer remorse that we all deal with in a buyer's market. Then we're going to get to the bottom line and the close and wrap it all up. Right? So the benefit of taking a class like this is that you're going to get ahead of the curve. The last shift that happened, meaning when it was a seller's market shifting into a buyer's market, that was around the time of 07 till 2011. And you shifted into a buyer's market at that time. And 48% of agents were wiped out of the industry. 48% of real estate agents. So what does that tell you? That tells you in this type of market, whenever you're shifting to a buyer's market, there's a type of change that you have to do. And they talk about that in shift tactic 1, which is getting right. And you have to take ownership in lead generation and lead conversion. A lot of things now that even top real estate agents don't want to do. Okay. Right. Trying to get everyone in here. So before we talk about perspective on urgency, what do you think is urgency? What exactly, when we talk about buyer urgency, what is buyer urgency? Take a stab at it. What do you think that is? Okay.
Tapping into the thing that's most important to them.
Okay, tapping into the thing that's most important to them. Like that. Who else?
Maybe the thought that now is the best to make a move.
Okay, yeah. So being educated, basically what I heard. Is that safe for me to assume that's what you're saying? Yeah, love that. Okay. Basically in the book, they talk about, those answers are very acceptable. The way they sum that up in the book is that it's being able, ready, and willing. Able, ready, and willing. So when a buyer is, how do you test if a buyer is able? What comes to mind if a buyer is able to buy?
Pre-approval.
Yes, exactly. Pre-approval, they have the funds, a loan officer has performed their due diligence in making sure they're able to buy a home. What comes to mind making sure a buyer is ready, determining if a buyer is ready to buy?
And kind of it's tied back into the financial aspect of things, making sure that they realize what they're taking on and they afford it, budgeting and what they're spending.
Yes, yes, I'll take that for sure. It's more so in the fact that, yes, that's more on the able side for sure. When a buyer is ready, they have needs and wants that you as the fiduciary are asking about, and you're discovering what their needs and wants are in the home. So if there's a need, for example, someone's moving up here from Florida and it's for a job, really, they need to be in a house by September. That's their need, and you get that. Their wants would be, hey, my most important wants are we need to have a bonus room. We need to have 3 bedrooms. We'd love to have a bonus room. Second vanity would be a want. We all know what those wants would pretty much separate that. We're going to jump to that later in this presentation about how to perform a very good, effective buyer consultation. And then willingness. What comes to mind for willingness? And the participation is great for you. You guys are getting great answers, by the way. Yes. So sometimes if you think about it, because when you read it in the book here, it just comes so simple for you to explain. Willingness is just their perspective of the market. Someone could be able and ready to buy, meaning they're approved by a lender, they have funds that they want to buy cash, they have the needs and wants that you found out, they're totally ready. Now the willingness is, I'm a little nervous about the market. I want to wait for prices to drop. It's like they're able and ready, one little thing there of them being willing, and that's when we have to come in and be that person of the expert with the education that you had mentioned to remind them that it is a good time to buy. In a buyer's market, it is a good time to buy. Don't you agree? Always. So the challenge of creating urgency, the media creates misconceptions about buying homes today. How often and the media is maybe their best friend who never bought a home before, or I mean, we hear all the different so-called experts all the time when we talk with our buyers. Letting someone in Zoom here. Buyers, they fear paying too much. They don't have a sense of urgency. Many agents think it is not a good time to buy. I hope that's not you guys. You get that hot lead on the phone. Hey, we're ready to buy. Oh, I would wait if I would. Oh, you're. That's not you guys. So the truth is that it always is a good time to buy, especially for the buyer's market. In 2008, when it was pretty much the height of that last buyer's market, there was still 4.2 million homes. And you may have seen these slides at Gary's vision speech, and I brought them that I introduced them again at our annual meeting back in March. 4.2 million homes were sold in the last bad buyer's market in the Great Recession. 4.2 million. So people will still sell, people still will buy. It's just, people are always going to have their needs and their wants, and it's going to take the right fiduciary to educate them on why it's still a good time to buy. The people that drop out, that 48% of agents that dropped out, because they weren't that talented enough or that educated enough to inform them and keep it in front of them as to why it's still a good time. Does that make sense? Excellent. Solution: be an expert on the market and the economy. Listen to buyers. I always mention the definition of why I listen. I know you all have a different way that you define listening. To you, how do you listen better to a buyer or seller? How do you become a better listener?
You dive down into questioning until you get no more objections about what it is.
There it is. Yes, absolutely. Questions. If you want to be a good listener, you ask a lot of questions. You unleash your curiosity and you just ask away, ask questions. That's how you become a better listener at all times. Doesn't matter if they're dumb questions. Hey, I want to rewind back. I just want to make sure I heard that right. Did you say that this is that? Okay, cool. So always don't hesitate to ask questions all the time. That's how you become a good listener. Pay attention to pricing and condition, match needs and wants, lessen fears about buying, find good, reliable mortgage programs. So good, so important to understand good movement, especially if someone could be ready and willing to buy, but they don't think they're able. Would you agree? Yep. So if you know good financial mortgage programs out there for someone that maybe they didn't know about, it's good to be educated around that too, to get them in that able category. So always stay ahead in knowing different loan programs that are out there. All right. So I'm going to shift to being the expert here. Okay. These are the 5. This is pretty much the 5 job description of a real estate agent. This is how a real estate agent's best time is invested. If it's around these 5 areas: lead generation, lead follow-up, appointments with prospects, negotiating contracts, and market research. You could, if you wanted to, you could put a slash after market research and put practice. Because role play is going to be very important during this time too, to have these conversations. Market research. All right. Now, this is on pages 149 to 154 of Shift. This is the concept of the tale of 2 markets, for the seller's market and buyer's market. And if you have Shift, and for those at home, if you have Shift in front of you, if you want to jump to page 150, I'm going to recite a couple sentences from there to help you understand what this is. All right. So this is Gary Script when he's talking to a seller at a listing, right? For price. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, just because a house is on the market doesn't mean it's in the market. In every market, there are actually 2 markets. There are properties that are priced well enough and in good enough condition to attract interested buyers. Those homes attract offers and sell. Then there are homes that are overpriced or are in less than ideal condition that don't attract buyers and just sit on the market. So if you look at this graph, you can see that some houses are in the market and some are out of the market. Does that make sense? Again, that was page 150. So it's educating the seller that there's 2 types of markets, and pricing is going to be so important. You're either in the market or you're out of the market. The y-axis is going over the price versus the comps, how well you price it versus the comps, and then the condition of the home overall. The greater the condition is, closer to the y-axis, you're going to be more in the market. The further away it's going to be for the poor condition, you're going to be more out of the market.
But
yes,
because in the current market, sellers are, do you think that's going to change when the market does shift? There's kind of that mindset of wait, I can still get hundreds of thousands of dollars over money.
Yeah. So as of right now, it's kind of a unique situation we're in now locally. There's some pockets of where we service where it is still very much a seller's market, multiple offers on something, right? So as we shift and we get more into that buyer's market, yes, it is going to, the conversations at the listing table or at the dining table are going to evolve and change into this. And it's going to be letting them know. Absolutely. Now, we're going to get more educated where we're going to make sure that they understand the benefits. Hey, if you price it here, because they're going to think, well, I should have listed my home 2 years ago when it was the better time. And it's okay, well, I do understand that you are possibly, maybe they're in a move up situation. They're selling their 3-bedroom home and their family grew and they want to move to, an additional square footage home that's maybe $200,000 more. So, they'll make a loss on the sale of their home. However, you're going to be educating them, hey, the house we buy is going to be making up for that. And you're going to be able to get a better deal on a move up and make your money back. All right, good question. Well done. So did I answer your question? The conversations will shift.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Let somebody.
I think I have all the old CDs from
good.
years ago. And there are some in there that I think go to this particular
yes.
Right.
Okay, so this is for the buyer's market. So this makes sense. Obviously, the yellow shade is you're in the market. If you're talking to a seller, you're in the market more when you're in the yellow shade here. Greater condition, you're going to have to price it lower, more competitively, or maybe in and around the comps where they are. You can't overprice it above the comps. And then we look at a seller's market. Oh, excuse me. Let me go back. That was the buyer's market. And the seller's market, it was expanded out. That's kind of like where we were in the past 3 years or so. Would everyone agree with that?
if it was in almost poor condition, you weren't losing a listing over price based on what the comps were. You were still getting offers there. Tale of the two markets. Is it a good time to buy? Reasons to buy now. Mortgage interest rates are low and stable. Has anyone checked the interest rates as of today? 6%, maybe mid-sixes? Okay. As of yesterday. Yeah.
They're getting better.
Yeah. And you know that one slide that Gary shared on the vision speech of the historical interest rates, we all know where they were. And you know, when you're with the buyer and they think about these interest rates, still a good time if you present that graph. 6%, 6.5%, I think. Home prices become more affordable. We went over that slide with the inventory at the annual meeting. We were looking at the inflation of how prices, the inflation went up for homes. However, the monthly payment is still less. It's less than what it should be, making homes so much more affordable. Inventory is high, strong economy, low unemployment. Yes.
How do you defend number one there?
So that.
Mortgage interest rates below and stable. You know, historically speaking, yes, 6% is low, but in recent history, obviously, it's not low, it's double what people had a year ago. So, and they're not stable. You know, they just keep inching up and up. So, how do you handle that objection from the buyer?
Yeah.
You know, that's not cool. House rates are, you know, dropping like tools.
Right. So I think what you do as the advisor is let them know that buying a home is a long-term asset. Just like buying a stock, the best gains in any real estate and any real estate investment are going to be made in the long term. The most money ever made is going to be made in the long term investing in real estate, not in the short term. So if you put emphasis on that and you let them know historically where rates are, and you also let them know and drive back to their needs and wants, because this is why the buyer consultation is going to be so vital. If you're understanding what their needs and wants are, and you bring them back to their motivation, and you let them realize that every 10 years, there is going to be immediate appreciation in your home over the years. Real estate has always historically had appreciation if you've been holding it as an owner for a minimum of 10 years. So, and there was one slide too. I'll have to share that slide too. I'll have to share all these slides in the Facebook group. I think I did in the past, but I'll do it again. Yeah, there's a slide that shows home prices over the past 30 years. And if you look at the trajectory, it's going like this over the years. And it went down in the Great Recession, then back up. So they do appreciate it. And I think it's going to be showing long-term historical data to support them understanding that it's a long-term investment. The wealth is made in the long term.
And then the mortgage rates to change down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's an excellent point. The rates, how do you know the rates? This could be the best time to buy. You don't know what rates are going to be like tomorrow. And your needs or wants is you need to be in this house by X date and bring them back to their motivation and let them know we don't know what rates are. So the time could be very much from now to struggle. I understand that a year ago was better and you want to wait. Timing the market may not be the best solution.
Like a lottery, you can't tell.
No. And if I can do a quick exercise here on the board,
I just did a
dry erase.
seminar yesterday on the financial person. And he said another thing to say, another thing is most people don't. So you know, you're gonna refinance along the way. So that even if you're there now, and he said that forecast that inflation, they're forecasting inflation fall, and by the end of the year, it's start dropping.
Very cool.
But you don't.
There's an old adage, marry the house, basically.
Well, that's great. That's great.
Marry the house, date the ring.
Yes.
It's so true because, you know, when the time's right to refinance, that's what you do.
Right.
And if that time doesn't come, that means interest rates are far higher than what you just got. Right? If you're not refinancing, then you got a good deal because you're at 6 and rates are high.
And aren't these more, I mean, I've been in this, honestly, in this, aren't these like reasonable ways that we will in these past years have been historically unheard of? So.
No, that was great show. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
So for those in Zoom, I'm sorry, I'm going to draw an example on the board, but I'm going to get right back to material. So this is for timing the market. Okay, let's see how good you guys are at timing the market. So, Dawn, just because you're an investor right here. So let's just say that you're a buyer and you're trying to time the market for when prices are maybe at their lowest. Okay, here's home prices, here's time. I'm going to draw. So we're right here. Let's just say we're right here right now as far as time. And let's just say prices are dropping. And I want you to tell me stop when you think that you're ready to buy. Okay? Stop. Okay. You said it like right here, right? So you missed it. You missed it. Now you're a seller. Tell me, you're a seller. Tell me when to stop. Oh, because you don't know, right? Because it can go fast. Things can move and shift in the market super fast. That's in the book, so doing that. All right. You can't time the market. You just can't do it. Okay. Determining willingness. What do you think? So we talked about willingness. Willingness is just that. Like the overall opinion that a buyer has in the market. It's the media and everything getting into their head of what they think is going to happen to the market, and then is this the most sound investment at this time to buy? And you're the expert. I don't think anyone understands or knows and can draw up the market more than you and explain it to someone. You are the expert. So in the book, when they say when you determine willingness, you have to really be the locally conscious choice. You have to tap into their why, which is around understanding their needs and wants, and you have to overcome that buyer reluctance. You have to be able to overcome the buyer reluctance. So 176 again. I'm just going to recite what he said this from this when it comes around willingness. Yeah, this is sort of the definition that they give of willingness. The truth is that in a shift in the market, the truth is that a shift in the market can absolutely impact a buyer's willingness, making them more wary and less eager to buy. It's the fear of making a mistake overruling the faith they can make a good decision. And it can cause even the most able and ready to become less willing to buy at that point. Someone will be so able and so ready, and then there's just some news they get from somewhere that tells them otherwise. So what we need to do is we need to constantly, they talk about nurturing the knowledge and the willingness. So what they say, to get willing buyers to the closing table and into their new home, you will have to check in regularly with them until they move in. Don't back off and don't assume anything. Don't take your willing buyer for granted. Touch base regularly and often. Willingness in a shift is a precious thing. Nurture it, support it, and appreciate it. Any comments on that? Can I move forward? No. Okay. So when we talk about being the expert, there's tools that we use for knowledge. So I want to take a break here. I want you guys to maybe get in groups here. So maybe Dawn, you can go with Nicole and Karen, and then Dan and you four. I want you guys to brainstorm what sources out there and use it. And you guys at home, I want you to come up with ideas. What we're going to do here for the next 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, we're going to discuss what you use for resources to be more knowledgeable about the market. It could be Bright, it could be this, it could be different websites. Let's talk about how you're staying informed about the market. All right? Let's go.
I'm new, and I'm not really going to get so I'm going to say everything. I'm new to it. They all want time. So really, you guys talk about all different kinds of and so anyway, yeah, I think so. Identify the same
National Association of Builders. I think it's
I'm not. Oh yeah.
yeah, get through those groups. Not that one. I think so.
But I you know, like a lot of knowledge because I have a small bit of space.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, that's how I got here.
Is that on?
Yeah. So
Are we
it's your
real estate?
conversation, so I knew this one.
It's so on point.
That I put on sense to you. And
And it's stuff that only.
I saw this commercial sound this day that I heard for a couple weeks ago. Everyone, and then, I'm interested, yeah, you know? Yeah. I'm still working on that.
All right, we're good. It's time. That's time. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about tools that you can use to gain more knowledge about the economy and the local market. We'd love to hear what you guys talked about. What are you using? Maybe some things that you found out about. Who wants to share?
Groups on social media, around the country,
Awesome. Okay. So for those that didn't hear at home, so engaging with a lender and with agents as constantly as you can. Awesome. Who else?
I also do that on the national register. It's NREP. Daily email. Video email. Kind of talk about what we're talking.
Are you guys sending that out to specific people or just people you know? What is that?
No, I listen to it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Excellent. Perfect. Yeah.
Is it a broadcast?
It's an email you can subscribe to. It's NREP. Daily Show, the National Post.
And that, I'm going to make sure I shout it again for some people.
It's the National Real Estate Post, NREP Daily.
Okay. The National Real Estate Post, NREP Daily. That was what's being discussed right now. It's a daily type of informational piece that you can subscribe for. That's been very helpful in agents getting knowledge. Anyone else? Anything?
I mentioned Inman.
Inman, yes.
Great news source. NAR and their economists.
Yeah.
And then I always just follow, our financial news.
Okay.
So stock markets, oil prices, 10-year treasuries, stuff like that. That might be a little bit more than you need to, price the house and, with Saxony, but it helps in understanding where things are going. Like right now we're talking about a recession. Are we going to have one or are we not?
Right.
So, I follow economists and financial people that are outside of just real estate.
Yes.
To kind of understand where things are moving.
Yeah. And I think that's the challenge that we should put ourselves up to. When in a shifting market, for buyer's market, we do need to stand out as someone who can really dive deep on those other factors for people to consider. I love that.
I'll give you a really good example. A lot of people probably even notice the price of oil has dropped from like 122 days to 105 in just the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right. So it's a pretty big drop. I think it was like a 70% drop. Right.
Yeah.
And most of you are like, well, why is oil dropping? So it's going up and up and up, and not getting any relief.
Yeah.
And oil, like real estate, two things: supply, demand. Right. Well, if you read the papers, supply hasn't gone up.
Right.
Right. So it's got to be demand. Well, basically the reason it's gone down is because smart guys who trade these oil futures believe there is going to be a recession, and that the demand for oil will go down. It's not right now. So you got to remember these are oil futures. Right. The smart guys in the room are betting that recession is coming. And that's why the price of oil is going down. Because supply has not gone up. Matter of fact, OPEC is, so little things like that, can be indicators of where we're headed. Sorry,
definitely. No, I appreciate
That was
it.
a little too much.
Well, no, I like, again, I think the big thing I'm getting out of that is, you know, good for you. You do need to challenge yourself in knowing anything. You know, it can't just be in the real estate market. It should also be, there's other indicators that drive what the real estate fucking happens in the real estate market. GDP, unemployment, income for households. There's a lot of different factors that we should be having. Love that. I'll take one more. Anyone else? Or okay.
I'd like to talk about networking in general.
Okay.
You know, just
Yeah.
in front of other people because of their English, trying to get finger on the pulse.
Great job, guys. Cool. All right. So so in the book, in this tactic, they talk about this idea of creating a best buy list. So I want to spend maybe 5 minutes on this. I haven't found anyone in the Keller Williams ecosystem yet, and this is, you know, my search kind of started like 3-4 days ago. There's got to be someone doing this. This is very beneficial when it is a buyer's market, and the concept, and it's on your handout that I gave you. If you look at this handout, pretty much there's, when we go to a listing table representing, you know, interviewing for the job of being a listing agent, we're bringing a comparative marketing analysis. Maybe some agents are not. In a buyer's market, we should be performing something like that as well for our current buyers that we have. And what they talk about is creating a best buy list. What you're doing is you're scouting out the best buys in the area. And it's your own list, and you keep it exclusive to only your buyers and maybe some people that are thinking about buying. You don't put it out to the whole public or to your database. And it's you taking a daily effort to view which homes you think are priced good with their condition, priced discounted, whatever, and just kind of have like a daily type of send out for your best buys. Hey, this is my best buy list, and I thought it'd be good for you. Here's the best. This one's a foreclosure. This one's this. And oh, by the way, I know you're looking for, based on your needs and wants, this is what I found today. Here are the best buys for you. I really think this one will be good. Maybe we can see it this afternoon. Just something to think about. You know, you're scouting out REOs, FSBOs, price reductions in the MLS. That's always a big one to scout out. New homes on the market, builder promotions. The second page of your handout, I can read that script to you. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, not every home on the market is a good buy, but there is a set of homes that really are based on their price, their condition, and the motivation of the seller. And those homes are the ones that are selling. I'll take you to see those homes, and you have to be ready to act. When a house fits your criteria and it's a best buy, that's when you buy. You can't expect the price to come down in the future because only the overpriced homes will come down. The ones that are currently priced right are being bought. Just an idea from the book. I thought it was something to bring up here. Best buy list, right? And again, on that, your time on the market, the list price, the condition, the selling price, again, things that you're scouting at as well for that. All right. I'm going to shift to finding the home for someone. I want to spend time on a little bit of time on the consultation. I know all of you, we have experienced agents in the room, we have newer agents in the room, so a good mix here today. So when it comes to the consultation, especially when the market's shifting, who's actually meeting buyers in a professional setting or a Dunkin' Donuts or somewhere else other than the home that they want to see before they take them out? Marion, you are? Yes. Okay. Everyone else, I see people shaking their heads. Okay. So we could get away with that in the seller's market time at times, where people are, they're so ready and willing and they're able, and a home comes up, hey, I need to see this home right away, and you know, maybe they're a sphere of influence or a referral, we could take them out, right? Give them a freebie. In this type of climate, it's when there's more inventory, you've got to limit the amount of homes that you're showing. And that's when you have to get them into a consultation, discover their needs and wants, discover the motivation, and discuss and set the expectations for what the buyer experience is going to be like with you as their trusted advisor. How do you guys, like, so Marion, for example, if I can pick another one, like, let's just say your ideal way of helping a buyer. Let's just say you get a referral and it's someone who is looking to buy or sell. They're so fresh. They're not even looking for homes yet. They don't even have a Zillow app. They have nothing. What is that? Your ideal way of meeting with the buyer, what does that look like to you? What are you doing? Where are you meeting them?
Most of my business is from referral. So I'm just starting tomorrow night with someone who kind of came in for one of Caitlin's homes.
Okay.
But I had already knew he was out there.
Mm-hmm.
He actually rents in Mayfair and was looking to buy something and boxing it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I offered to meet with him, but he works for Boeing, and he's
Okay.
got a really high stressed out. So we did it over the phone. So
Okay.
I'm out with him tomorrow night, and
Okay, cool.
we did out pushing all the crap that he doesn't want to see, and now we're zeroing in on one property, and it's a townhouse on Council Road, actually, and it's not a big sale, but probably usually once I sell someone, like I listed the house every day, we spoke for a while, and then I was through West Lake a little to 7:30, and I had 6 offers, one of them was in the office, and they just kept over time, and this is just really, and even when I closed it, I would have done let them know the area.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, there's a car wash in the backyard,
Right.
and Wawa here, but it's a beautiful lot, and
Yeah.
you know,
So
it
what I
went 30,000 over.
yeah. So
Which is crazy.
So what I heard you say is that before actually taking them out, you did.
I did a lot of homework.
You did it over the phone too.
I did it
and
over the phone.
and that's great, because at times we're gonna have those buyers that are gonna be reluctant to meet with us, especially when you have a sign call lead and people are like, no, I just want to see that. And if you can't get them in, hey, I know your time is valuable, could we at least meet virtual or by over the phone? Always get that time with them. If it's a half hour at the minimum, to set expectations and to really show how you can save them time. You know, there's a story that Gary Keller has when he was a real estate agent. He has it in the book Shift, and he talks about page 184. And he talks about sitting down with a buyer, and he would take a sheet of paper, he would write needs and wants, and he would split it down, and he would ask what their needs are, he would jot it down. When that was all said and done, he would get the wants. He would dig deep too. And I actually have that scripted, the page in your handout that says find it for them. On the bottom, you have those digging questions. He would dig deep on those questions. Okay, so you want a large kitchen. Okay, what is that? What exactly do you mean by a large kitchen? What does having a large kitchen do for you? Okay, cool. What does that look like to you? Can you explain that more in detail? How does that make you feel? Okay, cool. So digging deep as much as you can on the needs and the wants as well, if it invites itself. Unleashing the curiosity, again, that's listening. And he would jot everything down, needs and wants. And there was one story that he wrote in the book where he said, he went to a home, I found him a home, it got on the market, it had everything on their list, almost everything virtually there that they needed and what they wanted. Took them to their home, and then at the end of the showing, the spouse goes, and just think, this is the first home we've seen. Isn't that the worst thing you can hear? So he goes, in the book, he goes, it's just because you found everything. So he had to sit them down and whip down the list. Hey, do you remember this list that we put together? Yeah, Gary, we do. Okay. Let's make sure it has everything here that you need. Went through each one. Yes, it has that. Okay, perfect. How about the wants? The majority of the high wants this has. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Then went over the idea of letting them know if this matches all your needs and wants, it will for someone else as well. And that's why if you don't make an offer on this home today, you make it. And reminding them, it's not manipulation, it's getting them back to their needs and wants. That's what being a true fiduciary is. So knowing the needs and wants, going deep on each question. Then you need to understand if people are in it for their family to buy a home, for their personal reasons, or if it's for a deal, if they want a deal. So in your handout, there's another script like that as well. Just to give you an idea of how to ask whether if this home that you're buying is for your family, for personal reasons, or if you want to buy a house for a deal. So let's see here. So Nicole, why don't you be the buyer? I'll be the agent, okay? Okay. Do you want a home for you and your family, or do you want a deal? You can't have both.
We want to deal more than anything else.
Tell me, what is a deal to you?
Getting it below market price.
How far below? 10%, 20%, 30%?
20%.
Okay, 20% below market price. That's reasonable. I can find it for you. Do you want to do some work?
Sure, we'll do some work.
Okay, great. How much work? Are you willing to paint and change carpet, or do you want to knock down walls?
Oh, we don't want to knock down any walls.
You don't want to knock down walls. Okay, I think we can probably find something around 20% below market that needs paint and cosmetic work. Okay. Comments on that script? Oh,
No, that's not in our package.
It was actually, it could be on the flip side.
No,
Page number 36, no, on it. Okay.
no, not one side.
All right. So now we're getting facilitating the decision making. Cost of waiting to buy, delay of tax benefit, delay of building equity in new home, need to view more homes, selection of best homes is limited, market will shift and great buys will be gone. Removing fears, this is a big one. So obviously when we're putting an offer together, we are pricing and we're showing them comps. Is everyone doing that for the most part? When you have a buyer and they're ready to make an offer, you're spending that time reviewing comps and letting them know where, you're just guiding them on where they may accept an offer. Then the appraisal. The appraisal is eliminating a lot of fear too. So in a consultation, when you're setting expectations and you're going over one of the parts in the transaction is getting the appraisal, and it's letting them know, hey Ryan, just so you know, when you're buying a home, the worst you'll get is exactly a value. Does that make sense? They may say, well, no, what do you mean? Well, just so you know, whenever you buy a home with a mortgage, there is going to be an appraisal contingency. And again, this is a buyer's market. Well, most likely the buyer will have the opportunity to have the appraisal contingency. With the appraisal contingency, the bank will not loan an offer to you if the market value is above the purchase price. Does that make sense? So at worst, you will be buying the value. Letting them know that they're always going to be getting a deal. They're never going to overpay for a home. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. They're never going to overpay for a home.
I would say that.
Good.
The bank's not going to let them
Yes.
pay too much.
Right.
They won't lend you more than the house is worth. So
Right.
That's your reflection.
Right. I mean, those two steps right there can eliminate a lot of fear. Sitting down with them and showing the comps, right? Because again, the media, the family, the friends, the stories that all these friends and families have that are just so fabricated, that it's just in their head. If you're actually showing the CMA of the comps and you're educating them that they'll never overpay for a home due to the appraisal contingency, you're doing a great job right there as a fiduciary. Fear of making a commitment. An option period, they're pretty much talking about contingency. Educating them. Pretty much, when I used to sit down with my buyers, it was, hey, just so you know, the way the contracts are designed in the state of Pennsylvania, the seller can never terminate the contract. And I said, what do you mean? I said, there's no contingency, there's no out for them. They can never terminate the contract. The buyer is so much more protected in the agreement of sale than the seller because there are different contingency periods. There's the inspection contingency. Here's how this happens. You'll have the opportunity to have inspectors come in and they'll perform their due diligence, you'll be able to evaluate and see if you want to move forward and how you move forward. The appraisal contingency is the account. The mortgage contingency is the account. And then you're reminding them the worst case scenario where there is no account. If you make it 3 days before settlement, all the contingencies are done, and you just want to leave because you want to get cold feet, then that's the only reason why you would lose your earnest money deposit.
Yeah, I'll mention something, because I know we have some new ones here.
Yeah.
With the inspection contingency, it's an automatic out of the month. You don't have to cite the reason for the inspection why you're backing out. You do have to provide the inspection report to the seller, but all you have to say is we had an inspection, and based on that inspection report, we're out. A lot of people think you have to give detail and stuff like that. That's the law. No, but you do have to give them the report.
Sure. Yeah, I think, yeah, you really don't have to, all it would be is just in the contract, right? Just in the contract where it stipulates that there is, for the contingency period.
Right.
That's all you really have to let them know. It doesn't, you don't have to know let them know the exact reasons unless it gets into a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Our contract, if you read it carefully, it's basically, hey, we had an inspection, we don't want to.
Yeah, and it could be something, if the reasoning, if you really want to dive into it, could be they didn't like to do the GFCI. Yeah, even though that would be right. But yeah, that's
It's
right.
that like some people think that there has to be something that you have to tell them about, and you have to pin it on that. You know, right? We had an inspection, but on my house.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out here $500 on the inspection.
There you go. So that's important too. So for newer agents, letting them know the only money that they'll risk losing is the expense of an inspection. Majority of you guys know that, but just want to make sure. Thanks, Ron. And then the buyback guarantee. Has anyone ever heard of this? This is if a buyer is very nervous in purchasing a home, and maybe it's 3 days before settlement, like, I don't know if I can go forward, and there's this buyback guarantee where you say, if you continue through and you purchase the home and you don't like it after the first 6 months of owning the home and you want to sell, I will sell your home for free. No commission. Buyback guarantee. So a little more comfort there for a buyer. Happens sometimes, I guess, right? When someone will move it to the next thing, they're selling it. But that's like a life circumstance that happens maybe with a job or so. That they in the pocket.
Is that automatically in there, or
No,
that's
no.
something you then offer?
It's like a separate contract you offer them.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So getting them to close, and these scripts are in your handout as well. Is this the house you want to buy? If you love this house, someone else will too. I love that line. Do you love that line? Yeah. If you love this house, someone else will too. No, they don't. No, they don't like the double bag right now. Good houses sell fast in any market. Who believes that's true? Good houses sell fast in any market. It's priced good. Absolutely. The next person who looks at this house could make an offer. How would you feel if someone else bought this house tomorrow? There you go. All right, so we can wrap up everything here. Be the expert on the local marketing economy. We talked about ways of how you can daily get a check-in to get more informed and educated, to be the local economist of choice that people need you to be. Educate your buyers, articulate why this is a great time to buy, assuage buyers' fears, create a best buy list. I intend to get more information to kind of put it all together and for you guys to implement that if you wish. Show them houses that meet their needs and wants. So important too. Buyers market, a lot of inventory. You want to make sure that that meets a lot of the needs and wants, and you want to call them. You don't want to waste your time with so many homes that you're showing. Facilitate a decision to buy a house. All right. So Any ahas from today? Anything that you heard that you want to take into action for your business? Love to hear some things.
Marry the house, hate the rate.
Marry the house, date the rate. Love that. Yes. Marry the house, date the rate. Power of refine.
I definitely want to learn more about data about bylaws,
Okay.
because I'm not really sure.
Love that. Yep. And they touch on a little bit more. So it's in that handout, and then it's also on the board. So
Okay.
the final 2 pages, the second to last page within Shift Tactic 9, they dive more into that as well. And by the way, I want to hear more house, but there's actually a Facebook page. It's called Pivot Shift Ahead. It's ran by James Shaw, who's one of the top leaders for Keller Williams Market Centers in Texas. And he's a guru around this book, knows it frontwards and backwards, has a Zoom call every single morning around the different tactics in this book to prepare. Very knowledgeable. I know Pat Straley and Glenn Riddell are on it every single morning. Also, earlier than that, at 6:30 in the morning, there's a script practice, the early bird. So again, a free thing that you can log on to. Just wanted to point that out. Again, it's Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group. Any more house? Brian?
I've been having this aha for a little bit, but we talked about it today, and that is doing the in-person buyer consult and making, making it a professional setting. It should be here in the office.
If you can,
Yeah. And, going through everything, making, big deal about, everything in the process and truly explaining everything and setting, a plan. Both sides of the table understand.
Right.
And I'm dealing with this right now. One of my best friends from high school, sold a couple houses, called me up. We're going to sell, we can buy something. Well, it's so informal. One of my best friends. And it's like I talked to him, I talked to his wife, schedules, and what did I say to which person? And we're clearly not all on the same page. Yeah. And because it's a friend, I let it get very formal. What I need to do, and should have done from the beginning, is say, come into the office, let's sit down and let's put together the buyer plan. And now that we're a couple steps down the road, I still need to do it. That's how disjointed it is. But for me, you are a consummate professional. So bring folks into your office, sit them down, have a plan. I'm totally guilty of not doing this. My aha is that I know I need to do it because the buyers will run right over you.
Well, time is very important to the box. It's expressing, how much time do you have? They do want to spend at least the amount of time planning something. So, hey, what if I said meeting with me for 30 minutes was a lot of time? Okay, excellent. Instead of looking at that home, instead of going right to that home, I know it's right in your town. Why don't we meet in my office before? I want to set some expectations and I want to go over some things. That way, in case I'll show you the home afterwards. In case you don't like that home, I'll be prepared with your needs and wants so I can get to work with it. Yeah, I love that. It is getting a buyer into the office setting. Shows a lot more professionalism. Shows that you're full time and you're ready to go to work. If I couldn't get them into the office, I was at least trying to get a more convenient location to them. Maybe at a Dunkin' Donuts. My style was coming in and 15 minutes ahead of time, getting there, texting them, hey, I'm here at the Dunkin' Donuts, text me when you arrive. I'll greet you at the front door. Text me, I greet them at the front door, I give them a gift card to Dunkin' Donuts. Hey, I'm camped over here. Why don't you help here's a gift card, why don't you help yourself some coffee? And we'll get talking. And, that was always a nice warm. They would do it. Yeah, I like that. Right. And then at very minimum, a phone call or a virtual meeting. Cool. Well, do you have 15 minutes now or 30 minutes now? A Google Meet or something. Boom, just slide that in there. Yeah. That's great. Cool. Anyone else?
How are people planning with donuts?
You are here, Reading Christie?
Like, I did one for Gina Persia, one Langland Road, and it was 1 to 3, and I left with 90%. Yeah, like, so I'm gonna be more selective, maybe less.
I just did one, so I'm gonna,
I mean, there's a, yeah. You don't have anything that will.
I like that too.
That's a lot.
And then,
But I've done a couple of like, just depends on the house. Yeah.
All right. Hey, anyone on the Zoom, does anyone have any questions? Going once. Going twice. All right. Great. Well, guys, it's been a great session. Thanks for the ahas. Thanks for the participation. It's great. And again, this book, if you can designate time in the morning, again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to read it like a novel.
the
Don't,
call in the morning is really great. And
Okay.
it's super fast.
Yeah.
It's like less than 20 minutes and
awesome.
it's people from all over, you know, talking about different tactics and different things in the book.
So perfect. And we talked about talking with more and more agents that you had brought up, Dan, and being, yeah.
It's helpful to hear what everybody's thinking.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. All right, great guys. All right, let's be the economist of choice.
Thanks, Adam.
See you guys. See you at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny, I was,
It's missing like
it doesn't work, so
I don't know the one. I'll send you a
lumber prices, right? No, seriously. How many people in this call have any idea?
Yeah, she like, she didn't do it.
Lumber prices are?
I know it's Stuart.
Just in March, they
Yes, I don't have to add to.
$1,500, right? So
15, you said?
$1,500.